Hey there, it is Rachel, and one of the most frustrating things we face as parents is when our kids don't listen when we ask them to do something, when they become resistant, when we ask them to do homework or brush their teeth or get in bed. And I will tell you that there's actually a reason that they are not listening, and if we're not aware of this reason, we're going to create a very negative cycle where we try to get our kids to listen, and they don't, and we get frustrated and more angry, and they still don't listen, and everyone feels awful. So I want you to know about this reason, and it is not an excuse for their behavior or they're not listening, but it is a reason. And that reason is something that I call the avoider brain. Now, this is not an anatomical part of the brain, but there really is something in our brains that avoids the thing that is uncomfortable. We are wired to avoid discomfort. So if a child knows that something is going to be hard or uncomfortable, or especially if it's going to be boring, then the avoider brain kicks in and they will do anything they can to avoid that task. So if we're not aware of the avoider brain, what we're doing is we're treating the wrong problem. We're seeing their resistance or they're not listening as a behavior issue, and it's actually not a behavior issue. The issue is that they're not aware of their avoider brain and they don't know how to get around their avoider brain. They're missing strategies to do what they have to do. So if you think about it, when you avoid things, which we all do, right? There's a reason that you avoid. Maybe you tend to avoid doing your taxes or your laundry or the things that you don't want to do, the things that are uncomfortable. And there are reasons that you avoid them. Maybe it's hard to get started on a task, or maybe the task seems overwhelming. Well, imagine there's a task that you tend to avoid and someone comes up to you and says, hey, why do you hate that task so much? What makes it so hard? Whatever you tell them, it's hard to get started, it's overwhelming. They teach you a strategy to get around that. If they teach you that strategy, you're more likely to do that thing. And we can do the same exact thing with our kids. All we have to do to figure out what is kicking in that avoider brain is ask them, what do you hate about this task? What's the worst thing? So if they say, I don't feel like doing it, they need a strategy to learn how to do things they don't feel like doing. If they say it's boring, they need a strategy to learn how to deal with boring things. If they say it's hard, it probably needs to be broken down into smaller pieces. So let your kids tell you what they don't like about that situation, and that tells you what strategy they need. And in this way, you're working with your child against the problem. Remember, the problem is the avoider brain. So you're working with them against the problem instead of working against your child, which is what most of us do that doesn't get us the results that we want. If you want to hear a little bit more about how to reduce resistance when your child won't do the things that they need to do, listen to my latest podcast episode. You can find that on my website at rachel-bailey.com/282. Thanks for listening. I'll see you again soon.